The entire office burst into laughter before I even understood what was happening. I stood frozen beside the break room coffee machine, holding a paper cup in one hand while dozens of eyes stared at me. Some people were trying to hide their smirks. Others weren't even pretending anymore. That was the moment I realized I had been set up. Not for a promotion, not for a surprise party, not for anything good. They had arranged a blind date for me as a joke. And the woman waiting for me had no idea. What none of them knew was that their cruel little prank was about to change my life forever. Before we begin, if you believe kindness still matters in this world, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts. My name is Daniel Carter. At 34 years old, I had become the office joke. Not because I was bad at my job. Actually, I was one of the most dependable employees at the logistics company where I worked. I arrived early, stayed late, helped everyone, never complained. The problem was that I was quiet. I wasn't the kind of man who dominated conversations or made clever jokes during meetings. While others spent lunch breaks gossiping or networking, I usually sat alone reading or answering emails. To some people, being quiet meant being weak, and weak people become targets. The teasing started small. Little comments, little jokes, little laughs when I walked away. Over the years it became normal. I convinced myself it didn't matter. But the truth was that every joke leaves a mark. Every laugh chips away at something inside you. One Friday afternoon, my coworkers approached my desk with suspicious smiles. They told me they wanted to help me. They said I deserved happiness. They said they knew a wonderful woman who was looking for someone kind. I should have known better. But after years of loneliness, hope can make even smart people foolish, I agreed. The date was scheduled for Saturday evening at a small cafe downtown. The entire office seemed strangely interested in whether I would go. Some were barely hiding their excitement. Others exchanged looks that made me uncomfortable. But I ignored the warning signs, maybe because I wanted to believe someone finally cared. Saturday arrived with gray skies and light rain. I spent nearly an hour choosing a shirt. I shaved carefully, fixed my hair for the first time in months. I looked in the mirror and felt something close to optimism. When I arrived at the cafe, I saw her immediately. She sat alone near the window. A simple blue sweater, dark brown hair tied back neatly. A book resting on the table. She looked calm, peaceful, beautiful in a quiet way. Then, something unusual happened. The waitress approached her and gently touched her shoulder before pointing toward the menu. The woman nodded. The waitress began communicating with her using hand gestures, sign language. My heart sank, not because she was deaf, but because I suddenly understood the joke. My coworkers had deliberately chosen a deaf woman, because they thought it was funny. Funny to pair the office loser with someone they viewed as different. Funny to mock both of us at the same time. Anger rose inside me, not toward her, toward them. For a moment, I considered leaving. Not because of her disability, because I didn't want to participate in their cruelty. Then, she looked up. Our eyes met and she smiled. A small smile. Nervous, hopeful, human. In that moment, I realized she was probably as unaware of the prank as I was. Leaving would punish her for something she hadn't done. So I walked over, introduced myself. She looked confused when I spoke. Then she quickly pulled out her phone and typed a message. It read, "Hello, I'm Emily. I'm deaf. Sorry if communication is difficult." I stared at the screen, then smiled. I typed back, "No need to apologize." That simple exchange changed everything. For the next 2 hours, we communicated through our phones. Slowly, awkwardly, patiently, but something remarkable happened. The more we talked, the less awkward it felt. Emily wasn't just interesting. She was extraordinary. She worked as an illustrator for children's books. She loved animals, loved old movies, loved helping at community centers for children with disabilities. Her messages were thoughtful, funny, warm, While many people filled conversations with meaningless noise, every word she typed carried meaning. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen. When the evening ended, I walked her to her car. Rain fell softly around us. She typed one final message. "I had a wonderful time," I smiled. "So did I." Then she drove away. I sat in my own car for nearly 20 minutes afterward. Not because I was sad, because I couldn't stop smiling. Monday morning arrived. The office waited eagerly. People gathered around my desk. The faux Wayfesanti di Bicindi. Ringleader of the prank, a man named Kevin, wore the grin of someone expecting entertainment. They asked how the date went. Several people laughed before I answered. I looked around the room, then calmly told them the truth. I told them she was intelligent, kind, talented, funny, and far more impressive than anyone in that office. The laughter disappeared. Kevin looked disappointed. The others exchanged uncomfortable glances. Their joke hadn't worked. I wasn't embarrassed. I was grateful. The weeks that followed brought unexpected changes. Emily and I continued seeing each other. Every weekend became something I looked forward to. I started learning sign language. At first, I was terrible. My fingers moved too slowly. I mixed up signs, forgot words, made mistakes constantly. But Emily never laughed. She simply encouraged me, patiently, kindly, week after week, month after month. The more I learned, the more I understood how much effort she spent every day, navigating a world designed for. Hearing people, simple tasks often became exhausting. Ordering food, making appointments, handling emergencies. Things most people never think about, yet she carried herself with grace, never bitter, never angry, just determined. One evening, we sat in a park watching the sunset. I signed a complete sentence without using my phone. It wasn't perfect, but it was understandable. Emily's eyes widened. Then she smiled. It was the biggest smile I had ever seen. In that moment, I realized something. I wasn't learning sign language because I had to. I was learning because I loved seeing her smile. That realization terrified me, because it meant I was falling in love. And falling in love means risking heartbreak. For years, I had protected myself from disappointment by expecting nothing. Emily changed that. She made me hope again. Unfortunately, not everyone was happy. Some coworkers continued making comments. Whispers, jokes, insensitive remarks. At first, I ignored them. Then one day, I overheard Kevin mocking her. He didn't know I was nearby. He laughed about the prank, said I had actually fallen for it, said dating her was proof I couldn't do better. Something inside me finally snapped. Not violently, not dramatically, just completely. I walked into the room, looked him directly in the eye, and calmly told him that kindness would always be more valuable than cruelty. That Emily possessed more courage than anyone I knew, and that the real joke wasn't her. It was grown adults who found pleasure in humiliating others. The room fell silent. Nobody laughed, nobody spoke. For the first time, Kevin had nothing to say, but life had one more challenge waiting. 6 months into our relationship, Emily's mother became seriously ill. Hospital visits consumed our days. Stress filled every corner of life. Emily tried to remain strong, but I could see exhaustion in her eyes. Fear, worry, heartbreak. The woman who always supported others suddenly needed support herself. So I did what I could. I drove her to appointments, helped organize medications, cooked meals, cleaned the house, stayed awake during long nights when anxiety refused to let her sleep. Love isn't proven during easy times. Love reveals itself during difficult ones. Those months tested us, and somehow made us stronger. One night after a particularly difficult hospital visit, we sat together outside beneath a sky filled with stars. Neither of us spoke. We simply sat in silence. A silence that didn't feel empty. A silence filled with understanding. Then, Emily signed something slowly. Carefully. Her hands trembled slightly. I watched closely and understood every word. You make hard days easier. My eyes filled with tears because that simple sentence meant more than any speech ever could. A year after our first date, I took Emily back to the same cafe where we had met. The same window, the same table, the same rain falling outside. She smiled as memories returned. Then, I reached into my pocket, removed a small box, and placed it on the table. For a moment, she simply stared. Then, tears filled her eyes. I signed every word myself, no phone, no notes, no assistance, just my hands, just my heart. I told her that meeting her had changed my life, that she taught me courage, patience, compassion, and the meaning of genuine connection. I told her that every day with her felt like a gift. Then, I asked her to marry me. The cafe disappeared. The rain disappeared. Everything disappeared except her, she cried, laughed, covered her face, and finally signed one beautiful word. Yes. The wedding took place 8 months later. Family and friends filled the room. Many guests learned basic signs so everyone could communicate together. It was beautiful, inclusive, joyful, everything a celebration should be, and then something happened that nobody expected. Several former coworkers attended, including Kevin. By then, news of our relationship had spread. Many of them had quietly reflected on their behavior. Some approached us with genuine apologies. Others simply looked ashamed. Kevin waited until the reception ended. Then he walked over. Older somehow, smaller somehow. He apologized. Not because he was forced, because he finally understood. He admitted that what began as a joke revealed something ugly about himself, and something beautiful about us. I accepted his apology. Not because he deserved it, because carrying bitterness only creates more pain. Years later, when people ask how Emily and I met, we usually laugh. The story sounds unbelievable. A cruel prank, a chance encounter, an unexpected love story. But that's life. Sometimes the people who try to hurt us accidentally lead us toward the people who heal us. Before this story ends, I have a special request. Please comment below with the words, "Kindness always wins." Let's see how many people still believe compassion is stronger than cruelty. Today, Emily and I have built a life filled with love, respect, and understanding. Not a perfect life. No life is perfect, but a meaningful one. Whenever I remember that day in the cafe, I think about how easily things could have gone differently. I could have walked away. I could have let anger control me. I could have judged someone before knowing them. Instead, I stayed. I listened. I learned. And in doing so, I found the greatest blessing of my life. The coworkers who once laughed eventually fell silent. Not because I argued with them, not because I proved them wrong, but because kindness succeeded where cruelty failed. And the smile that Emily gave me on that rainy evening remains the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone you care about, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every interaction helps these stories reach people who may need hope, encouragement, or a reminder that kindness can still change lives. Because sometimes, the most beautiful love stories begin exactly where the world expects them to fail, and sometimes one smile is enough to silence every voice that ever doubted you. The end.